Midwest Box Trucking back. And in today's video, I want to touch on a topic I've been meaning to address over the course of at least the last month or so. In my consultations, on the comments, and some of my most recent videos, everybody always asks, hey, why did you choose to step away from the Sprinter van game and into box trucking? And that's a great question. And to give you guys the answer to that, I got to kind of give you my backstory. Okay, prior to starting my box trucking company, I was a CNC machinist, for one of the major mining / tractor suppliers in the US, if not the largest, tractor supplier in the US. So I machined initially the track links for the undercarriages on like the dump trucks and the bulldozers and stuff of that nature. Later on, moving into machining the heads for the actual engines on the dump trucks, So I worked there from November of 2010 up into April of 2019, at which time, over the course of like the last year that I was there, I was kind of planning and putting together my trucking company. So I left there, like I said, in April of 2019. I started my trucking company May 28th of 2019. So exactly 1 month later. Okay, and yeah, like I said, I kind of planned and plotted everything out, and upon starting my trucking company, I went and, as usual, I got my DOT, my MC number, started my LLC with LegalZoom. I did that pretty much right when I was leaving, the company that I was working for. So, and pretty much, I went out and looked for the van of choice, that I wanted. And I looked at numerous different vans, kind of traveled different places, got up into New Jersey looking at like a Ford Transit, stuff of that nature. So eventually I zeroed in on a van that I wanted to finance. So I got the van into my possession, like I said, I financed it, got it home. And first mistake, I got my van in May of 2019, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I never ran a load, didn't contract with anyone, didn't do any work, loads, or anything from May through October of 2019. So that was my first mistake. Like I said, coming from punching the clock for the last 8 years, and then starting a company, I kind of, was happy to take a break, So once I got my everything in place for my trucking company, I kind of sat back and I had a little money saved up. So, I just kind of sat back and chilled out for a bit. That was my first mistake. I incurred financing costs, I incurred insurance costs, and pretty much should have been running at least by June of 2019. So in October of 2019, I began working with a courier service out of the northern Chicagoland area, and pretty much we delivered a lot of medical supplies, office supplies, to different medical facilities throughout the Chicagoland area. And pretty much that was a good thing because they actually kept me busy throughout COVID. I started my business in May of 2019. COVID came in January of 2019, so they did keep me busy by us delivering to medical facilities. Like I said, I delivered the boxes of paper, pens, sticky notes, different medical supplies from time to time, across the Chicagoland area. So they kept me busy, throughout COVID, which I was grateful for. And I did that from October of 2019 through June or July of 2020, at which time I left the courier service and leased my van directly on with a expedited shipping company. And pretty much that was my second mistake. Okay, I was just happy to get out on the road, get away from courier work. You know, that kind of work is rough on your body. It kind of tears you down. You stop and go, in and out, up and down, push, pull, you know. It's a lot of wear and tear on your body. So when they told me, hey, you can make $2,500 a week, you know, we got loads, we can keep you busy, you know, you'll be traveling across the US. I was just happy to kind of get out of the Chicagoland area and start actually putting my van out over the road. So I jumped right in with them, leased my van on with them. One of the benefits was I got cheaper insurance, you know, and this is a plus, but at the same time, you're going to still have to carry separate insurance pertaining to your MC number. So I had cheaper insurance as far as my physical damage coverage with the expedited shipping company that I leased onto, but I still had to carry pretty much general liability, you know, through Progressive for, you know, my MC, you know, and FMCSA purposes. So I saved a little bit on insurance, but overall, it was a bad decision to lease my van directly on with one particular expedited shipping company. You know, in hindsight, looking back, what I should have done was carry the $1 million general liability policy on my own and leased on with multiple different expedited shipping companies. You know, a lot of expedited shipping companies are East or West Coast specific. So you'll have one particular expedited shipping company that's good from the Midwest East to, you know, South Carolina, Georgia, you know, up into like the Boston area and stuff like that. But when they get calls to send you over West, you know, they'll send you over there and they'll pay you well to go over there, but you end up stuck and they have problems getting you back out. Same as with some of the expedited shipping companies that's based West. You know, they usually run from like Kansas, you know, over to like California, Texas, and, you know, the Western region of the US. So they'll get calls for loads going east and they'll dispatch them to you. They'll probably pay you well because they know that once they get you over east, you'll be sitting for 2, 3, 4 days waiting on a load to get you back into their general area that they cover. So that's part of the problem with leasing your van directly on with one expedited shipping company. Usually when you lease directly on with a expedited shipping company, they put their company name on the side of your van. Like I said, they provide you cheaper insurance and you work exclusively through them. I would not advise this, okay? I would always advise for you to keep your options open, work with them independently, okay? Where you have the option to work with other carriers. That way, another thing that'll happen, particular companies get slow at certain times, okay? This is usually not the case for all of the expedited shipping companies, but the company that you're directly leased on with may get slow from time to time. You know, that's another problem with, you know, only being able to turn to one expedited shipping company. Well, when this company gets slow, you can always call this company as a backup, you know, and if they don't have anything, you can always call this other company as another backup. You see what I'm saying? So it kind of works in a situation where, you know, you don't put all your eggs in one basket and you keep your options open. That way you can communicate with different expedited shipping companies to stay busy, you know, and be successful in the expedited shipping game. And that's the mistake I made. I put all my eggs in one basket, you know, and with them, it was pretty much seasonal. In the winter, when the weather is super bad, or in the summer when it's super hot, they can keep you busy. You know, they're gonna call your phone all day long with loads. In the spring and the fall, when the weather is mild and a lot of drivers tend to want to drive, go out, you know, see the world, because it's not really uncomfortable to sleep in a van in those seasons, you will get minimal calls and minimal work, you know. So that's why I say keep your options open and, make yourself available to multiple different expedited shipping companies. This will make you successful in the expedited shipping game. Okay, you may run into problems leasing directly on with one carrier. Okay, so that's just a hint, to you guys coming in, wanting to, enter in the Sprinter van game. You can make good money, but you have to come in correctly, so you don't make the same mistakes I made, and like I said, I leased on to that company directly. They got me stuck a few different places, 1,000 miles away from home. I had to pick up deadhead different times. And like I said, if I had followed what I'm telling you guys today, I would have been able to avoid a lot of the issues that I ran into with this one particular company, because that's what it was. It was almost seasonal. Winter was good, spring bad, summer good, fall bad, so it was like up and down, and you could call them and you could complain and it's not gonna get you anywhere. Either they have the work or they don't. And that's why I say when you keep your options open, you're able to go to different expedited shipping companies. If you got 3 to 5 expedited shipping companies on hand that you can go through and complete like a virtual orientation. Usually when you don't lease directly on with a company, they just have you complete like a virtual orientation online, and you upload insurance and pictures of your van and stuff of that nature, and your van stays bare. You don't put any of their logos or signs on your vehicle, and you start to run for them independently. This is the route you want to go. And like I said in a couple of my last videos, for you guys looking to come into, trucking in the Sprinter van lane, get in contact with me at midwestboxtrucking@gmail.com. Okay, I have I'll put together a guide with about, I want to say 10 expedited shipping companies that's relevant today, that are running today, over the road today, that you can contact and, set up something with today. Okay, so set up a consultation at midwestboxtrucking@gmail.com. I can get that information to you guys, and I guarantee you will be successful, in the Sprinter van game. But if you lease directly on with, one carrier, like I said, they got me stuck a few different places, and it's slow at points, and then it's, up at points. So, to avoid, a lot of the issues that I ran into, like I said, just get in contact with me, and right around the time when I realized, different things that were issues with the company, I was kind of catching on to the box trucking wave at the same time. It was about 6 months ago. And I started to pick up on a bunch of the patterns and different things that kept happening, places I kept getting stuck in and they weren't able to get me out of, so I kind of was like, I gotta make a decision on what I'm gonna do. And at that same time, I was kind of watching some Sprinter van expediting videos, because those were starting to pick up online. And like I said, when I came in, it wasn't a bunch of content on YouTube on how to be successful in the Sprinter van game, box trucking, trucking in general. It wasn't a abundance of material then. It's a lot of material now, that's available for people stepping into trucking. And, I would suggest you guys utilize this to your advantage. When I came in, like I said, it wasn't an abundance. It was some, but it wasn't a lot. And it wasn't a whole bunch of individuals putting out good information that could make you successful. So like I said, you guys should utilize this material to your advantage. But yeah, at the same time, I'm watching YouTube videos, because like I said, the Sprinter van guys were starting to pick up. And then I was watching some box truck, videos also, and some channels. And I'm like, well, rather than go back and try to correct the mistakes I made in the Sprinter van game, I would rather move forward and, you know, start something new that may be more lucrative than, you know, to go back and try to fix my mistakes. You know, if I went back and started all over again, I do it exactly how I'm telling you guys, and I probably wouldn't even step into box trucking. But because I realized the mistakes I made and, you know, I was on to the box truck game at the same time, I decided to step away from the Sprinter van game and move into box trucking. And, you know, with either or, you have pros and cons. You know, the cons with the Sprinter van game, I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna drive a lot more for your money. Okay, this is for somebody that wants to see the world, you know, want to have a smaller vehicle that they can get into the cities and the downtown areas and, you know, just kind of experience the over the road atmosphere. But you're going to drive a lot more for your money. And usually you have to, like I said, lease indirectly or independently with expedited shipping companies. With this, you're going to have to wait for them to find and dispatch you loads. You won't be able to dispatch yourself as you would be able to in box trucking, where you can go on DAT or truck stop and, you know, you can dispatch yourself. In a Sprinter van game, you usually are waiting on phone calls where the expedited shipping companies will get loads brokered to them, and then they'll distribute them directly to the guys that are contracted, you know, with the company. So you're going to have to wait on the expedited shipping company to find and dispatch you loads, you know, so they are going to be ultimately in control of your weekly income. So it's going to be imperative that you build good relationships with these expedited shipping companies and their dispatchers. Therefore, you're able to be successful, you know, getting good loads, because yes, they're going to dispatch the loads to you. So ultimately, they're going to be in control of your total gross, but they get plenty of loads. So that's not going to be an issue, especially when you're working with 3 or 4 different companies. Okay. So keep that in mind. You know, you're not going to really be able to dispatch yourself. You might find loads here and there on the load board, but not a bunch. But the pros, you know, I've never used factoring for expedited shipping. They usually get your bank information and they directly deposit every Friday. All of the expedited shipping companies that I know of, you know, you get a direct deposit every Friday, no factoring. It's just like Amazon. You get paid, you know, every Friday. Gas for the vans are a lot cheaper, so I never used a gas card. I have a gas card now through RTS, and I've never used that. You know, I got to make a video on why I don't use that gas card. But I never had to use or even look for gas cards with my van. You know, the max I spent on gas, I believe, will be like $60, and with good gas prices, it usually was closer to like 50. But no, I never used gas cards with my Sprinter van. I either used my personal credit cards or cash, and I just kept the receipts. I write it off at the end of the year. So you also won't ever need a ELD. We don't use hours of service in a Sprinter van. So that's another expense that you can avoid. It's not an ELD. You can't be in violation for driving. You can drive 20 hours if you don't just get pulled over by a DOT, which DOT does not really pull over Sprinter vans because they don't regulate it. So I've never been pulled over by DOT in my Sprinter van. So it's no ELD, it's no DOT, it's way cheaper maintenance, way cheaper gas. And like I said, it's unlimited pay if you get set up right. If you work with 3, 4, 5 different expedited shipping companies, it's really no way you could lose. If these guys don't have loads, if it gets slow, if it's issues here, then you just call this next expedited shipping company. And like I said, to get those lists of expedited shipping companies as well as tips to be successful coming into the Sprinter van game, email me at midwestboxtrucking@gmail.com. Okay, so like I said, I've been wanting to get this video out for a long time, and I'm happy to, have completed it, to get this information out to you guys. So with that being said, I ain't gonna hold you guys. You guys stay safe out there, take it easy, and have a good one. Appreciate you.